From the age of 7, Tracy Reiner called Rob Reiner Dad, and she meant it with her whole heart. That word was never symbolic or casual. It was earned through consistency, trust, and a love that gave a child something she had never fully known before, a true sense of home. Tracy was not simply welcomed into Rob's life. She was chosen. In every way that mattered, she became his first daughter, one day before everything changed. Tracy sat across from Rob at the dinner table in their Brentwood home. They laughed, talked, and shared old memories, the kind that make time feel suspended. Nothing felt fragile. Nothing felt threatened. It was warm, familiar, and safe. Then, the next day, the man she loved most was gone, taken in a tragedy that shattered their entire world. The pain cut even deeper when it became clear that the loss came from within the family itself, involving Nick's son. Rob had spent years trying to protect and save. At first, Tracy stayed silent, choosing grief over noise. But that silence was broken when false stories began spreading online, distorting Rob's life into something unrecognizable. That was the moment she knew she had to speak. Not to argue, not to defend headlines, but to tell the truth. She spoke about the real Rob Reiner, a father who never treated her as anything other than his child, who loved without conditions, and who made her feel she belonged in every room, every memory, and every chapter of his life. Her words were not about money or public attention. They were about belonging, about love, about family. With a voice that shook but did not break, Tracy also addressed the painful reality surrounding Nick, not with hatred, but with honesty. She spoke of the heartbreak of watching someone Rob loved deeply become tied to an unspeakable loss. It was a truth many avoided, but one she carried quietly. After the tragedy on December 14, 2025, when Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner were lost in their Brentwood home, Tracy seemed to fall beyond words. The man who had chosen her in 1971, who had held her hand and given her his name, was suddenly gone. In those first days, she barely held herself together. Standing before the press, she whispered only a single sentence, saying she came from the greatest family she had ever known and that she was still in shock. The pain did not stop there. When Tracy later opened social media, she was met with cold, ruthless comments that reduced her father to arguments, labels, and cruelty stripped of humanity. Some even expressed satisfaction over the loss. Each word felt like another wound. None of them knew the man. She knew. They never saw him in the kitchen asking if she had eaten. You never heard him gently ask if she was tired. You never felt the comfort of him simply being there, alone in the house. Tracy held a framed photo from long ago, Rob carrying her when she was 7. That was the moment he chose her. Not through blood, but through love. He gave her a name, a home, and a place to belong. That memory brought both tears and strength. Anger that strangers were trampling the most precious parts of her life. A resolve to speak the truth. She spoke again, not in defense, but in testimony. She said that if people only remembered her father through controversy, then they should know this. He loved his family with everything he had. Every word carried her back to the beginning, to the moment a little girl looked up at a man who knelt to her level, smiled, and changed her life forever. Tracy Reiner was born in 1964 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Much of her early childhood passed quietly in her grandparents' home, without the steady presence of parents. Her biological parents were largely absent, and for years she lived in a pattern of waiting. Waiting for reassurance, waiting for someone to choose her. When she asked about her father, the room often fell silent. Everything changed in 1971. When Penny Marshall married Rob Reiner to Tracy, Rob first appeared as a calm, steady stranger. But there was something about him that felt different. He spoke softly, bent down to her eye level, and made sure she felt seen. Just months after the wedding, Rob officially adopted Tracy. There were no cameras or celebrations, but to Tracy, that day carried the weight of a lifetime. When she took the Reiner name, she did not understand the legal meaning, but she felt something deeper. She felt chosen. From that moment on, calling him Dad came naturally. Rob stayed present in ways that mattered. He read bedtime stories, listened without rushing, and taught her that love did not require perfection, only consistency. As Tracy grew older, she understood that Rob was not just her mother's husband. He was the person who listened to every fear, every doubt, even the ones she could not yet name. When Rob and Penny divorced years later, Tracy feared losing another father. But Rob never left. He stayed steady, reminding her that divorce was an adult matter and that nothing would ever change his place in her life. Those words anchored her through years that could have easily knocked her off balance. As Tracy explored acting, Rob guided her without pressure. He offered honesty, space, and support. When she appeared briefly in The Princess Bride, he smiled quietly on set, not as a director watching an actor, but as a father, watching his daughter step into her own world. As Tracy built her own family, Rob became a gentle, patient grandfather. He showed the same calm presence, the same steady love. He told her she was doing well as a mother, that perfection was never the goal, only being there. Those words stayed with her. Even after Rob and built a new household, Tracy was never pushed aside. The door was always open. She was always included. Family, to Rob, was something you built, not something measured by blood. Only Nick felt distant, quiet, withdrawn, and heavy with something unspoken. As the years passed, Rob's worry deepened. He confided in Tracy late at night, speaking about fear, guilt, and helplessness. Tracy listened, understanding him now, not just as a daughter, but as a parent herself. In early 2025, Rob told Tracy he was dividing his estate equally among his children, including her. He told her firmly that she was his eldest daughter and equal in every way. Tracy protested, but Rob held her hand and told her it was his decision. Made from love. She never imagined that a choice made with love could stir buried resentment. When Nick learned of it, something shifted. Anger surfaced. Tension grew. Tracy sensed the change but could not know what was coming. One day before the tragedy, Tracy sat with her father once more. They laughed, shared memories, and held each other longer than usual. Rob told her she was the greatest gift of his life. She left feeling calm, carrying his presence with her. The next morning, everything ended. In the aftermath, regret, grief, and anger collided. Tracy replayed that final hug again and again. But through the pain, one truth remained unshakable. No one could take away the love her father gave her. Rob Reiner gave Tracy a love that was complete, unconditional, and permanent. He was not a father on paper. He was the man who chose her, stayed with her, and loved her with quiet strength for a lifetime. And that love did not end.